emphatically, I can assure you that they have broken the law. They're afraid enough for me when I come into play here that when I finally got to spit my story out to Judy Cabrera, who was in charge of the program at that time, I believe she still is, she all of a sudden started backpedaling. All of a sudden they're talking about buying me a house instead of, instead of, because they realize lady, I've got a case against you. So, from all the way down the line. From the moment of the inception of me trying to get into this program, it was a disaster of epic proportions. And I could never get anybody at Cecil to take my statement without laughing at me. And so, therefore, it just went from bad to worse. Yeah, the first thing that happened was one of the girls that camped with us in Monterey received an invitation to come into this program, and Miss Regina, who had been in the very first group of women that came through here, had been in the program, and I was waiting for the phone number. So I finally got the phone number, so I could get the phone, and I was helping a lot of people with their finances out there, like food stamps and all, just doing everything for them because I had a computer and a printer. So I was sitting down going, okay guys, now this is how we're going to call, and we're going to learn how to make an appointment with somebody to go meet at a social services organization, since none of you have ever done this. So literally I've got 1, 2, 3 guys sitting there and my husband and I pick up the phone and I call Joe Rivers, who has been told, I've been referred to him by Travis, who works for HDAP. Okay. And I called Travis first. He tells me Arturo is coming and also Joe. Now, I believe Arturo came first, and we filled out his paperwork, no problems there. So I'm on the phone trying to make an appointment with Joe. The first thing he says to me is, well, can't wait till you get here today, can't wait for you to suck my cock. That's the first thing out of his mouth. As God is my witness and the other men that were there. To which my husband then grabs the cell phone gently from me and picks it up and starts saying all sorts of very inappropriate things to Joe. Which I grab the cell phone back, I just hang it up. And everybody's sitting there speechless. And nobody can say a word. So I wait about 5 minutes, I pick up the phone and redial. Mr. Rivers, Tammy Ryan, I need to make an appointment to come in and see you. Same name, same everything. He makes me an appointment. I said, okay guys, he made a mistake. He didn't mean to be talking to me. He realizes he made an error. He's going to apologize for this as soon as he's going to straighten this out somehow. We go meet him. He fills out the paperwork. We come here. 3 weeks later, we're sitting up in room 316 and I still haven't talked to anybody here. We're laying in there in just depression. One, it's difficult to migrate from here to there. We're concerned. We don't know what kind of program this is. We're not really sure how legitimate it is. We don't want to be back outside. My health is deteriorating, so we really have to make a decision. I came here right at the beginning of the pandemic and got displaced, and it was all for medical issues. It's the reason I'm not working right now. I've always worked. So I had to come to terms with my medical issues and make a decision to do something to get out of the situation I'm in. So obviously this seemed like a step in the right direction. So I then got a hold of a young lady that was here at the time named Perla, who was in the program. She also lived outside with me. So she kind of comes and gets me out of bed. You got to quit being depressed. You got to wake up here. I said, well, they said we were getting meals 3 times a day. We have been here about 2 weeks and that hasn't started. We've not talked to anybody about what this program really entails, about what we're supposed to be doing, what we're supposed to be filling out, and so on and so forth. So I'm a bit confused. So she gets on the ball and gets Patterson involved and gets David involved from Project Room Key, because at the time everybody was here. I then end up having to tell Patterson and David, and I believe the hotel guy, exactly what happened here. Because I'm realizing that I'm getting set off to the side. We go in, we fill out the first set of paperwork. We give him all of our information for Arturo, which was the SSI advocate. I gave him boxes of my paperwork. Boxes of paperwork about my medical conditions. I never heard from Arturo again until the following year, I believe, besides delivering meals. He never called me and asked me for any more information. I didn't change my phone number. I've had the same phone number for 7 years. Even if I lose that cell phone and have to pick up another one temporarily till I can afford another one of the Metro phones, I have the phone number, I can take the messages, and I listen to them all the time. No emails, no nothing. So, about April 1st, I think it was, he comes out and decides that I've tried to tell several of the people about the Joe Rivers thing. Because at this time, he should have apologized and made it right. Okay, he knew he was talking to the wrong person, whatever the deal is. Instead of leaving us all in limbo. And now I'm feeling like he's not trying to help me because he's made this error. So we signed the paperwork. We each applied for our own voucher because you never know what's going to happen. Somebody could die. That's happened to me. Things can happen. So I was trying to protect us both since we were not legally married at the time. We, I think, fall under your...
common law.
Thank you. Most definitely. But, because we've been together a lot of years. So, but we were not officially married, and so I did not want anything to ever happen again like it happened to me before, where someone passes away and your money gets taken by the family. Okay, so I did not want that to happen. So he filled out for a voucher, I filled out a voucher. The other reason we did that is because his daughter was coming, and we told them that. Bam. We have a minor child in Connecticut who's in urgent need of housing. She must be removed from there or she's going to go into the foster care system. From the beginning, they knew all this. So my goal was then to get into a family room, a larger room, because she's a teenager and needs her space to change like we need our space to change. It's got to have some privacy there until we get relocated. Now, months and months and months. One, I can't be on the 3rd floor because of my, can't do it, guys. This is a problem. I've got bad steel plates. I've got all kinds of health issues. So they promised me, apartments open up. Never do I get into them. It took me 316, 321, 119, 118. It took me 4 apartments to get into the one I needed to be in. By this point, this place has cost me my marriage and everything else. Yeah. So, we never get the young lady here, the stepdaughter, and she goes into foster care where she is promptly raped 3 times, which could have been avoided had they done their fucking job, excuse my language, had they done their job. Because nobody deserves that. Over and over again, we're talking to all these people, and nobody's listening. Eventually, we've got farmers coming here, laundry issues. We now have no way to do laundry for months and months and months now. We're ill people. We have accidents in the middle of the night, things like that. We need to have the resources to be able to clean our clothes. They took away the food now. Have they come back and said, is there anything else we could do to support that? Not at all. They have treated one person this way and another person that way. They have merged our vouchers illegally together. I don't know why that paperwork got changed in the end. That happened. Basically, then Mr. Rivers and Mr. Arturo communicate to social services that I'm not in compliance with Mr. Arturo. So therefore, they take away my funding. So I fight for 6 months to not. I only get $340 a month. Nothing else. So I fight for, and both of us were not getting it. Just one of us. Coming into this program, everybody should have had the same benefits. They all should have been laid out the same. When you sat down with the counselor, they should have told you what the program was, what HDAP was, what Cecil was, what all these different places were. Explained all of this up front. There should have been credit classes for people who have poor credit. We should have sat, all this time we sat here, months, years. Where the hell were the computers to sit down and do your credit? Where was the class on how to put together, a canon for going out and interviewing for houses? For example, me, I never took out a traditional loan. However, 3 millionaires loaned me money. I paid off 3 mortgages before I was 25. I'd like that on my credit. It's not there. So you have to figure out how to get it there. Things like that they could have sat and done. In the beginning when I was here, I was okay to do that. But then for the next year, I think I left by ambulance about 5 times, almost died about 5 different occasions. Never once did they come back here and check on me. Not once, even though my apartment, if I showed you the pictures of the blood and the carnage in my room, unbelievable. People all over are coming to clean it up. Okay, with no experience on how to hazmat, no experience on how to do that. And never once do any of these women, because now we're with the women, leave their office to come back and see if I'm okay when I return from the hospital. The only time they did was when I was there 21 days and 5 weeks on a PICC line, because it made such a scene around the building, because so many people had to be on staff to come around, my caregivers, to inject me every 12 hours to keep me alive. So that's that. And all the people that die in here, no sense in it. We do the best that we can to be the neighbor checkers, but when there were a lot of people here, that was not so easy to do. Let's just face it. But they damn sure had to be their job to do it. How can you sit on site and people dropping dead everywhere and nobody knows it for days and weeks on end? Come on, that's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. We have people here with mental issues, health issues, we're all different. And what it turned into was a hodgepodge meshing of the only thing we could do to survive was to cling together as best we could, and that's not easy to do. People have now developed mental health issues from being outside. People have now developed legal issues, If you think for 1 second that you're not going to get that, you're in trouble. Financial issues, there's no way we're going to look good on paper. Not a chance. Now, I've talked to a couple property owners here. I got to talk to a property owner who enlightened me a little, made me feel a little understanding. He said, Tammy, back in the day, we used to have coffee. We invited everybody over who applied to move in our homes. Maybe 30 people at max. We talked to every one of them individually. Then we chose a resident. We don't do that now because we can't. There's hundreds of people applying for every apartment. What do you want us to do? I said, at this particular juncture, I'm asking that some of you, what should have happened was we should have had a broker on deck from day one, working to get people placed, knowing they were not going to look great on paper. Don't tell me there's not vacant buildings. I drive around all the time to the abandoned apartment buildings. Well, all the time that's been spent on all this, we could have rehabbed two. I could have done that myself. I'm from California. I promise you. And then I just got sick, and there was nothing I could give any use to anybody for. And and we're just all cleaning, trying to mesh together. We got people missing. We got people, all kinds of stuff's gone on since I've been here. Gang threats, some of us, everything. And security was no real help to us. Here, the only thing they did was persecute us. They weren't here to keep us. I have about $12,000 worth of bicycles gone. Nobody saw it. Nobody saw it, but we have 15 guards on deck. Come on. You got security dating people who work here. You got people who work here dating security. You got laptops that we were supposed to get stolen. You got everybody in their hands in the pot, except for the people who need it. You got boyfriends of the people from Cecil coming back here at lunchtime, showing that they just bought gourmet food on the credit card for Cecil from one of their girlfriends. Now, you want us to be compliant, and you want us to be quiet, and you want us to be suffering, and you want me to go back outside right now? Not happening. Can't do it. I cannot do it. I would die out there. There'd be no way. No way. One, I don't have a husband anymore. Two, I don't have, this was all too much. They've tried everything. Illegal evictions. He got picked up one time because he missed a court date. He missed a court date, which is why he was really arrested. But he had an airsoft gun in the room, a toy. And so they tried to turn that into us having a real weapon, which by California standards, an airsoft gun is not a real weapon. And so therefore you can't evict me, you can't take away my HDAP status, and you cannot and they did all that to me. They tried. I now don't have my HDAP status, which I'm one of the most ill people out here. Okay? I don't have, they just keep screwing everything up. So I'm not sure, I'm supposed to be grateful. I'm supposed to be happy. I'm supposed to be thankful I'm indoors. I would be more thankful if I had a freaking apartment and I'm not out begging people to please, help me out here. There's no way that this community if the community did not get a full idea of what was happening, why wasn't there a press conference? If you screwed this up from the very beginning, at the end you could have helped get everybody straightened out. Maybe you could have done a press conference stating, maybe we didn't let the community know enough. We have these choice vouchers for the pandemic, and here's what we're doing. Can any landlord help us? And we have a $1,500 sign-on bonus and $500 for every person after that. You can't pitch that deal? I mean, I don't get it. Cardinelli's wouldn't bite. Nobody would bite. Nobody would bite. Nobody would help you. I just don't believe that. Sorry. I don't believe it. Then we are told that the two buildings being built in Castroville, because I happen to know a girl whose dad is building them. I thought that was supposed to be for the homeless people. I said, why are the farmers getting more housing? Because I understood that they just gotten 2 new buildings, right? Or they had gotten some new properties. Why are they, plus the farmers stayed here last time. So they paid for them to stay here, and then yet they've got 2 new buildings, and yet they've got to have 2 more buildings? Really? 4 buildings? Okay, so I was from farming in Florida. My granddad was in citrus. Okay, so I'll buy. So maybe they did build that on their own private funding. But agricultural is governmentally funded because, again, my second cousin was agricultural commissioner in Florida. So it's governmentally subsidized, out the ass. Especially in a blue state, where they take your guns and give you plenty of farming. So, I mean, nothing's adding up on the chess table here. It's just not. And nobody wants to complain. This is more embarrassing than being homeless. And I don't like being victimized. I don't like looking up at my husband and crying in the morning, and he's crying too, because we just feel like we're going to get screwed, and we're going to be back outside again, where you can't protect anybody, where you're getting older and you don't really want to be outside. You're not camping. We're not rich kids that dropped out in Carmel and we're out here just getting high. Not happening. You know what I mean? It might be easier, but it's not what's happening. So I just am completely blown away by the whole scenario, and blown away by the entire culture, because no place else in the country I've ever lived, New York City, Nashville, DC, I could go on, Atlanta, Florida, no matter where I've ever lived, have populations of homeless people been like this. Nor has my family called me from states on the East Coast begging me to get out of California, because they keep throwing these ads out there that the population of homeless people, it's being resolved in Cali, it's being resolved, and then they never show they never show a newscast. So what's that about? You know, what's really the underlying issue here? Is it FEMA, is it this, is it that, which is what I was afraid of from the very beginning. I mean, because, you know, I hopefully can get my illnesses under corrected and possibly go back to work where I was quite a productive person. You know, I'm not really sure. You can't do that if you continue to have somebody stepping on the back of your neck. And you'll start, and especially not being from here and having no resources whatsoever, no family, nobody to lean on and ask for help or direction. I mean, these guys, some of the guys from here, at least they know people who own property. Whether or not they can get them to rent to them, I don't know. But the issue is, and some of the property owners have found programs like the traveling nurse program and some of the other programs out there. I guess there's one coming out from military men where they're getting assistance with their housing and people are putting them. But see, that's been announced to the landlords. The spread of word is going through, and yes, they can up the rent in Seaside $500 because I said you could up it $500 all you want. Housing for the nursing program means that you have to clean every single time and paint every time somebody leaves. You have to put you have to do the dishes, the linens, all that stuff you have to provide has to be in immaculate shape before you rent again. You're going to tell me that's going to be cost effective compared to renting to me? So that was only one guy I could get to, though. That happened to be a friend of a friend of a friend, and he was kind enough to spend some time with me on the phone. And me still going, the chances that I'm going to really come out better than this are slim, sir, because I don't know anyone here. And you cannot allow these applications to be filled out all the time. You know what's happening? Hard pulls. What does hard pull do to your credit? No crap. So you get 9 hard pulls from all these buildings. Looking at your credit, you couldn't rent. You're in the toilet again. We could have all had credit cards, 6 months paying. All this could have been avoided. All of it. And you cannot, nobody can be this dingy. It's a racket. Everybody got grease but us. I don't much care for being assaulted without grease. I am so angry and so disgusted that I have to go plotting and begging and bitching again about something that should have just been a given. Not a given easy to get. We should have had to go through all those classes and work through all those things to get to what we earned, which would have been a chance to pitch yourself. Not guaranteed anything. But this hasn't been a chance. Half these people wouldn't even have their vouchers yet. Who does? I think one girl just got hers, the other one hadn't gotten it. Come on, how can you throw us back outside again? You're talking about a small group of people left here now. You can't just finish your job? How many times do they call you and ask you about housing? Me? I've been, one fucking time I called them and they mentioned a house to me. One time. One time, and they know I will not live in Salinas, and I couldn't at the time, especially because of my husband, but I will not go there either. I've been a victim of gang violence, will not do it. And I prefer to go right back where I came from, over in Monterey or Seaside or whatever. So that side, because it's a very different culture. All right? It was a different culture when we all lived together here. It was a different culture everywhere. You have to do different things in every city. Monterey's tough to live in, because you got to be on your game. But I was there, part of the women's gathering, very active in it, very active with the community, with the cops, with everybody, trying to stay where I was, trying to clean up, keep the park clean, you know, the whole bit. And I would say that there are probably officers and women's gathering who would tell you I did all my due diligence I could think to do to be respectable there. That's all you can do. And so, I mean, I don't understand, you know, this doesn't make sense. How can you have all this money sitting out here? How many people how many vouchers are left? Does anybody know that answer? Last time I went, 70 vouchers left. And they're giving hundreds. They started giving them to their Section 8 people. I thought that wasn't supposed to happen. Also, it says in the federal outline that these are emergency response housing. Emergency response housing. Which means we were not supposed to have inspections. That was not on the table. Read the federal thing. We weren't supposed to have these apartments inspected. We were allowed to live in some different kind of conditions, like I wanted to get a top floor of a building, or, you know, somebody wanted to do this because they had a build. You know, I could make it a house, that's fine. You know, there were all kinds of different scenarios that a lot of us could have jumped at, but we were told that was not acceptable because Section 8 had to go through it again. And that was not supposed to be. That was not supposed to be. This was emergency housing, not let's go through every dot and tittle and then give all the Section 8 people vouchers too so we can look like we did our due diligence. You know, how much more do we have to be abused? That's my question. Now we're gonna get embarrassed, abused again. Now everybody's gonna look at you and go, okay, so you sat over there all that time and you do shit with yourself, and that's why you deserve to be like us. No, not the case. Not the case. I don't know too many people here who just said, F you, I'm not gonna comply. I can only think of a few men maybe and they went out on their own. So, and nobody else has ever received a legitimate legal eviction from here. I saw a legless man get thrown out into the freezing cold weather in the middle of the night for no reason. I've seen it all. Now, how do you think that's acceptable? We got him up at 7-Eleven trying to live on the corner now. Every illegal way they could to just do anything they want to do. That's basically what I saw. And became a victim of it.
Then they 86 you from the programs too.
Mm-hmm.
You go on property.
Yes. And then, like, taking away my status illegally and not telling me. Yeah, I'm not employed anywhere. If I can't make it out here, I made 6 figures a year and have a master's degree, good luck to everybody else. I'm just saying. This isn't even a matter of where you come from, who you are, what your education, what your work things are. None of that matters, because everybody just assumes. Although what's even weirder to me is I've talked to so many people from here. I always made sure I met property owners, like Lake Aristella. I sleep in the bush, I didn't know how to camp, much less sleep in the bush. So I remember talking to a lot of the property owners, because that's what you do. Otherwise you have no protection, okay? So, I mean, who would protect you? If it's not you doing decency in the neighborhood, then, you know, there's nobody else going to protect you.
Somebody has to know you.
Somebody has to know you. So, I was talking to a lot of them, and all of them, even the big mansions behind me that I used to make my camps match, had been homeless at one time. So how can there be such an attitude about it when everybody has at some point faced it? I am so confused by this culture. And the whole culture of it all. And it has made things difficult amongst all of us. Our safety has constantly been in question. We just had gang members attack us here last week. Okay, we've had, I told you about the one guy who threatened us out in the parking lot that day. It seems like I'm always in the middle of having to try to find out an answer to some issue. And then the Steph and this and that. And they never saw anything. Never saw a thing. How about a security guard I talked to for 3 months? I didn't understand why he didn't answer me. What do you think the answer to that is? Tammy's not used to living in a state where nobody speaks English. He did not even tell me he didn't speak English. So I'm telling him about a guy that's following her and I around, and I'm trying to tell him, this guy's not altogether too cool, man. We got a problem with this guy. Couldn't understand anything I was saying. So what does it take? The next girl gets raped, kidnapped, this, that, the other. So we basically manage ourselves, just like the situation this week. Woman disappeared. I had to call Cecil. I said, you got about 2 seconds to find my girl, or I'm calling the police. She calls me back and says, oh, everything's just fine. Her daughter said she's just fine. It was not just fine. Her daughter didn't even know she was missing. Did you read the note that I wrote to you, to the daughter? We don't know where she was. She didn't know where she was. You see what I'm saying? If all of us hadn't been doing our due diligence as a group of people that care about each other, you have to. Because there's nobody else going to care. And keeping each other fed, and keep each other with gas, and keep each other in rides, and doing all the things we try to do, and put up with all of our whole attitudes. I mean, really. And all of us being angry about the situation. What do you do? You're trying to talk to people who've already been through everything there is to go through. Especially women. You're a lamb chop walking around out there. The next person looking to pick you off. Women and young children, young people in their 20s to 30s. Everybody out here, the abuse is unreal. The rape is unreal. All of it's unreal. And in such a small, pretty community. Looks like a picture card. We shouldn't have any problems. I don't understand. And I don't care about the money, all that. Okay, no community in the country that I've ever been in is going to get by without having some people that are of lower income. It's just not going to happen. You could try all day long, and until you piss the whole country off, and then they all come live in your yard. San Francisco's collapsing. That's about the next thing to happen. In Monterey, they should pay attention. Should be buying those abandoned buildings over there. I sure tried to. I mean, that would have been the easiest thing to do, just to have bought a damn building. I mean, really, how can you not? There's plenty of them in bad shape around here. And this thing they're doing over in the 2 hotels in Salinas, oh my God, how scary is that? I went over there, one of the girls that lived over there at the time, I said, this is where they want to put people? I mean, I specifically wanted the voucher because my family is in Florida, and if I decided to ever go back, my daughter and my grandkids are here. That's why I came here. Now, should I ever want to go to another state with them, I needed the voucher. Since I'm not a native Californian, I did not feel like the Salinas was a solution for me. Plenty of people in the program did not want to ever leave California. So maybe that was a good solution for them, but it's very scary there. I wouldn't be afraid to stay there. I would be afraid to stay there, honestly. Would you stay over there?
I wouldn't stay at the hotels, no. But
Hell no.
find a little house where I can feel like I was anywhere.
Well, and that's what, in the end, what my daughter said, because she used to have a Section 8 voucher, but she worked her way out of it. Sort of. I don't think she did, but whatever. So now she said to me, Mom, if we could find a main home in the mother-in-law's cottage, so you have your privacy, because we know your eccentric self has to go out there. But it would be perfect, because we take the front building, you can take the back building, pay the rent, you know. So, you know, we can't even get anybody to tell you about an apartment. At this point, I've got, what, 20 days? We just want to go someplace to live. Quietly, most of us are single, we're older women. I mean, come on, man, there's not even a scary group of people here left now, and we're the ones that are going to get tossed in the wind. All the other people that are healthy or whatever, this, that, or the other, are gone. So, you know, that concerns me the most is if Travis's group is responsible for those of us who are disabled, then where the hell were his people? Since I think I got him to let 7 other people in here after me. I talked to him about several other people. And when I got into trouble, I had to tell him what happened. There was no fucking response. No return phone call. They won't return phone calls. They wouldn't even tell me who their boss was for 8 months at Cecil. 8 months I didn't know Judy Cabrera's name. Because here's the deal. I would have been sitting in her office, but they didn't open their office till when, May of this year? Again? Did they open their offices? Is that about right? They had them closed. We couldn't go to them. We were our hand tied. Nothing we could do. We couldn't get to the boss because she was at her house and they wouldn't tell us who she was. And also I went to a women's fair because women's gathering knows all this from beginning to end. Evangelina and Angie know all of this because everything happens in my life I tell those women, whether I'm going there every day or not. Now, this is the other thing. She requested a meeting as my advocate to Judy Cabrera, who we now found out is the head. No, they would not give it to the women's gathering. They snubbed the women's gathering and forced me into a meeting alone with my daughter, who fought her way into the meeting because she's my caretaker and serious about her job and serious about what's going on out here. It's ridiculous. And she's out here checking on people too. You know, people need money, people need rides. I mean, you know.
Providing the service that the service providers will provide?
Correct. With no money. She doesn't have money to afford to be able to do that either. People's Christmases, their kids' school clothes. Come on, man. That is stuff they should have been able to get. I can't get a notary. $35 notary? That makes it not seem like a lot of money. I don't have that. I have bills I have to pay out of my money, too, and on top of that. So now, I can't even get $35 to get a notary from Peace River in Florida, which is the mental health facility that I was under care of for about 7 years. And they won't give me that. They won't even bring a notary out here. The one time they brought a notary, they made sure I was gone. I had an appointment that day. Yeah. So, one time, in 3 years, a notary came here. Some of us can't get our stuff without notaries. You gonna tell me the entire county of Monterey, nobody's a notary? They have to put their money somewhere. They could have gotten a bank to sign a couple of, you know what I mean, as a charitable thing. Come on, work the program. You go into the bank you hold your accounts at, and you say, I need a favor. Can you help me? For the good of the people. Of course they will. Come on. This isn't brain surgery. There's no way they wouldn't help. I mean, everybody wants their name in the paper for something good.